Holly Jacobs here. I'm out at the studio on a very cold day. It was a little icy this morning, so I came out a little later than normal, but getting some things done. I just finished off another face jug, more of a face bottle, I think. I didn't put any handles on him. He's a nice size, and I don't know that people actually drink out of them, but I feel like he could have a liquid in him and drink and not have it be a problem holding him. So that's been my morning, and I'm going to relay a story. One of the minions yesterday asked how old I was. I'm not going to repeat it here, but I told him, and he said, "Oh, that's okay, you've got time left." So that was nice. But I have been talking to a few friends about the fact that I've started pottery much later than many people. I started college classes much later than many people. And you might think, well, Holly, you're getting up there in years. Why would you be taking on something so new and so radically different now? And the thing is, I think what keeps everybody young is learning new things, experiencing new things, and it's amazing when you find something and you think, how did I miss this the first few decades of my life? I don't know. And so that's sort of how I felt when I found writing. It was like, oh, this is what I want to do. And I was really fortunate that I have done it and done it fairly successfully for all these years, and I'm still having a blast with it. This isn't me giving up on writing. But when I tried ceramics 3 years ago, it was another one of those moments like this. Where have you been all my life? I love it. I love everything about it. And I watch other pottery channels like on Instagram or just other books that I've read. And I love how diverse the community is, from people who do very fine art ceramics, that they're just beautiful pieces. My interest really leans more towards very folk art looking pieces. And that difference, that ability to turn it into whatever you want it to be, is something that truly attracted me to it. You can do any of it. My professor and I one day discussed the fact that I consider what I'm doing more folk art or crafty, and I refer to that a lot in Just One Thing. I had a heroine who did art, but felt she was more of a crafter than an artist. And we had this discussion on what makes craft art and what makes art craft. And sort of left it at anything that you create, anything that you invest yourself in is art. So I feel as pretentious calling myself an artist as I do calling myself an author. I kind of like writer or storyteller, and I really kind of like potter. I do like folk art more than art when I refer to my work, but I think that defining what you enjoy and leaving room for it to grow and to alter and to change is part of the adventure. And I think finding those adventures are what keeps us young. And as my minion said, I got a lot of time left. So I am out here in the woods today on a snowy day creating, and people have asked, so I'm going to give you a new updated tour. The studio, now that I've been working in it still less than a year, it changes a little. I find things that work better, and so it's evolving slightly. I will give you that update. It has been beautiful out here today. Oh, hello, Tallulah. Yes, I do have my friend out at the studio visiting with me. Yes, and obviously I've been ignoring her too long. So think about, no matter how old you are, finding something new to try, and maybe when you do, you'll find a new passion you didn't know you had. And keep an eye out. I'm sure you'll get more posts from Tallulah, because that's just how she rolls. What she's saying is she'd like to go for a hike. So before we head home, that's our next plan. I'm going to post, keep watching. I'll put a little tour up for you, and I'll talk to you all next time. Thank you. All right, and here's the updated tour of the studio. There are, oh, I really like these. They're just stamped. It's hard to tell, I think, from a distance. but they're stamped leaves and trees. I was experimenting with different glazes. They're a little drier than I think I'd want to do in the future, but I still love how they look up. Still storage over here. I've been making some birds. They're next on my list to make out here. So when the heat's really kicking on or tilted in the right direction, they look like they're flying. I picked up some new paintings, so they'll be sprinkled in amongst the other stuff. And, ooh, that pottery one up there. It's a big bowl and a jug with a plant. I picked that up recently. Still kind of messing. Down here is where I do most of my underglazing, and glazing for that matter. So I'm still sort of playing with how I like it arranged, but I think I'm getting closer to it. All my underglazes are hung up. My homage to Berlin Craig, I think he's just one of the most marvelous potters ever. More tools hung up. And I've got himself cut me some nice pieces of tubing that I'm going to try doing some building around. So we'll see how that works. Again, a few more pieces hanging up over in the corner. Different trees and stuff. More stuff on the shelves. It's kind of fun to get that all out. And then this wall, I set up a little wet areas so that I can put my pieces I'm working on in it. They stay, I've been timing it. I've had a week and still had it wet enough to work on. So that's awesome. Figuring out how, I'm a half hour from home, so figuring out how to make things and have them ready when I come back out has been a challenge. So that seems to be working well. More stuff up there, Santas and whatnot. And all the stuff for the next kiln that I've been making this winter. I've got more tiles ready to go. And speaking of tiles, last but not least, my sink is now all tiled. I'm really happy with it. I tried some inconsistent sizes. I think I'm going to go to a more square without quite as many variables in it, but I'm just pleased as punch with how it worked out. And my view from the window, the pond somebody asked about the other day is generally doesn't freeze completely. Where it looks like water is where the spring is, so it stays open all year, which means we've had tons of animal tracks down there. But the far end of the pond does freeze up. And it's been a fun day. I've spotted some new birds outside I hadn't seen before. I'm gonna have to go home and look them up. And we put up some little nesting boxes. So we'll see what they were, but that was exciting to see them out here looking at nesting areas already. And that's the end of the tour, and thank you for checking it out. We'll talk to you again soon, I'm sure. And thanks everybody who's been following my pottery, writing, life, dog adventures. We'll talk to you soon.